You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
This has been a lengthy recording process today, and not through, not just like straight through, but it's like we had to do a segment this morning, and then I had to go do something, then you had to go do something, and then we were going to do a segment at a different time, and then you had to go do something, then I had to go do something, and now it's like 6 hours of recording, and we're finally getting to the start of the show.
Yeah,
this is magic.
It's always magic. Funny how we do this thing, and we're at the front. We're always supposed to be like, and now we're in, like, welcome in. And it's like, well, we've been part of this for a while now, especially today. Yeah. Today is Wednesday, and for anybody who probably follows the minor leagues at least 75% as closely as we do, you know that Wednesday is a crazy day for day games, especially this time of the year.
Getaway day.
Getaway day. It's education day for a lot of these.
School kid day.
Yeah. If you ever listen to a Milb TV game during the day on Wednesday, you'll hear SpongeBob a bunch. You'll hear screaming kids.
I feel like SpongeBob has been replaced by Baby Shark.
That's not a bad thesis, and I am not fully willing to test it out, to be honest with you.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So, so Wednesdays always get a little crazy, and then there was some late breaking news today about a suspension and lots of things going on. But that kind of means, we're fully into the season now. There's lots going on. This isn't just the off season when, we have other things going on. Like, it's a lot of baseball happening here on a Wednesday, which is really cool. So I'll take this over a cold, dark day in December anytime.
That is the absolute truth. That is the thesis of the matter, and the only thing that really does matter about it. Oh, my brain is shut down because it's 4:05 in the afternoon here, and I need a snack or a nap or something. So with that, it's going to be a good show. This week's episode is the 205th of the Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com. My name is Tyler Vaughn. He is Sam Dykstra, and we will get started with three strikes, talking about three topics in minor league baseball this week. And strike one, Sam. The minor leagues now just about 2 weeks into the season. We've already had some crazy games already, some nutso individual performances. What's your favorite single game performance so far this year?
Yeah, this is just my favorite single game, I think. I was actually I mentioned this last week on the show that I was in Scranton over the weekend to go see the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders host the Buffalo Bisons. Unfortunately, Vlad Jr. was out for the day, but Bo Bichette hit his first AAA home run, which is pretty neat to see. Lots of fun stuff there in Moosic, PA. But when I showed up, I went with Kelsey Hennigan, our friend and coworker. They had the out-of-town scoreboard, and one of the lovely things about minor league teams is sometimes they put their own leagues on the out-of-town scoreboard. And we looked at it, and there was this game between Rochester and Lehigh Valley that looked like a football score. And it was the sixth inning, and it ended 20-18. So it's 2019. The score was 20-18. There were 43 hits, 15 home runs. This wasn't a game in like Lancaster. This wasn't a game in some of these other really homer-friendly ballparks. The wind at Frontier Field in Rochester, which, by the way, this was Rochester in April. Rochester, Syracuse, Erie, a lot of those places are kind of running jokes for just being absolutely freezing. West Michigan, a lot of teams in Midwest League, absolutely freezing in April, and it's not conducive to offense whatsoever. There was a 23-mile-an-hour wind blowing out toward left field, so obviously that helped things. But it was just nuts getting back to read about this game. It lasted 3 hours, 55 minutes. It matched the venue, so Frontier Field, the single game record for runs that was set in April 29th, 2004, in a game that included Grady Sizemore and Justin Morneau, which is pretty nuts. So it'll be interesting to look back on this and see who's who in a couple of years. But 10 different guys went deep. Only 2 of the 10 pitchers used in the game did not give up a home run. It's just crazy. Like I got off the phone here a couple minutes ago, actually, with a prospect who hit 3 home runs today. And he said, we have 140 of these things. You know, as cool as this seems, like there are 140 games this year. I can't get locked up into this one performance yet. But what that kind of speaks to is that there are so many different teams doing 140 games that anything is possible. And to have a game like this already this season is nuts to me. And, you know, we talk at the end of the year, we'll have the game of the year, the Milby. This is already a big contender. And if this is going to get beat at some point this year, that's amazing, because that means there's going to be an even better game out there. And I can't wait to see it.
Another nutso game. That's going to be the only thing that could take that one out of the top spot. It's an early on place in the season to claim the top spot in the running for game of the year. Mine single game performance wise, Noel Cuevas of the Albuquerque Isotopes hit for the cycle last week, and I had a tweet in which I put out some of his quotes from that story, and we talked about this. You and I think talked about this just texting over the last week or so. But I love when baseball players that you can just apply to life. Noel Cuevas goes 5 for 5, hits for the cycle, hits 2 homers, and he said, like, you know, I want to really appreciate this today, because I know there are a lot of days when the at bats just don't go that well. And he said last night was the perfect example. Last night it was cold here, it was windy, I got hit in the back with a pitch in my last at bat, and thought, all right, well, that's good, because I'm not doing any good swinging the bat. But, you know, on days like today, when everything feels good, you just try to go with it and appreciate it and live in the moment. And I thought, you know what, that's like such a very philosophical and true thing about where we all are, you know, just from day to day in life. And I thought that was really cool. But Noel Cuevas, 5 hits. He said he had 5 hits before. He had been like a certain hit away from the cycle before. Had never hit for the cycle in his life. So that was pretty cool. So that was my favorite single game performance of the season. Could be a single game performance candidate for a Milby at the end of the year. But the single game, yeah, that one's going to be tough to beat. The 9 million runs in an International League game in the middle of April. Not a normal thing. Strike 2 this week, Sam. The San Francisco Giants organization got some unfortunate news yesterday. We were recording this on Wednesday the 17th. Tuesday the 16th, Joey Bart, it was announced, had fractured the second metacarpal in his left hand. He is probably out 4 to 6 weeks, according to big league manager Bruce Bochy. He was hit by a pitch in a game for Class A Advanced San Jose on Monday, although oddly enough, it was ruled a foul ball. But unfortunately out for a length of time now, and this is a bummer. Joey Bart, you know, a guy who obviously a whole bunch of people, not just Giants fans, are really, really excited about, and now all of a sudden he's delayed by at least a month, maybe more.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear this news kind of broken by Bruce Bochy, which I think is telling.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's telling, because I think everybody in San Francisco knows that Joey Bart he still could make the major leagues in 2019. He's that advanced as a catcher, all around hitter. Kelsey had him as her pick for the Bauman Home Run Award, and none of us were just like, oh, that's weird. Why would you pick a catcher? His homer power is that strong. I mean, he's gone deep twice in his first 10 games. He's got a .541 slugging percentage. Guy can really hit the ball, and he's a really gifted catcher. Now, to have it be a hand injury like this is even more worrisome for somebody who is a catcher, who has to worry about, you know, it was in his left hand, it's in his catching hand. They use that more than anybody else on the baseball field. So, you know, Bochy said it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. He said that, quote, with some doubt, which means it could be earlier, it could be later. We'll see. Bart's going to be wearing a cast, which is unfortunate. But, you know, this was somebody we were all looking at and saying, like, oh, he's probably not even going to be in San Jose long. He'll be in Richmond before we know it. And if he's in Richmond, maybe he gets called up straight from Richmond to San Francisco. Maybe he sees AAA by the end of the year. Maybe he sees the majors. And to have 4 to 6 weeks is a long time to kind of be put on the shelf. You know, it's unfortunate for him and in his development. Those aren't at bats he's going to get back, at least not now. But it's also upsetting for us because he was so much fun to watch on the field and follow night by night. That's 4 to 6 weeks we're getting robbed of Joey Bart. Hashtag content, but also just the ability to see him at a full health. We'll see what happens when he comes back. This is kind of going to be another Vlad Jr. situation in which the Giants aren't going to bring him back unless he's fully healthy, unless he's showing all the signs of this is not going to be an issue again. We're not going to bring you back only for you to make one catch and fracture metacarpal once again. He's going to pass a lot of tests before he's allowed to go back to San Jose. But it's unfortunate timing no matter what time of the year. The fact that it was a foul ball, I'm glad you brought up that detail because it sounded like one. You know what I mean? Like just the idea of bat on or ball on bone sounding like that, it tells you how gruesome the injury really was. But yeah, if Bruce Bochy's already talking about Joey Bart, everybody in that organization knows he's the future of the catching position there. And hopefully he can come back sooner rather than later, and we'll be talking again about him in terms of what he's doing on the field instead of off it.
And strike three this week, moving right along. Tool shed for this week. The Toronto Blue Jays number 19 prospect Patrick Murphy had a crazy start in his career with 3 different surgeries. He's now got a 40-man roster spot. This is a cool story. This just went up today. Again, we're recording on Wednesday. But Patrick Murphy, one of those guys who it's pretty easy to cheer for already at this stage of his career.
Yeah, no, this one was really fascinating to follow. I mean, he kind of got put on my radar last year when he was FSL Pitcher of the Year, and you start digging into him a little bit more, and it was always something I kind of put off to the side, and then I thought about it as the season starts, what's a story I'd like to tell, and his is definitely one of them. This is somebody who, before he was eligible for the draft, underwent Tommy John surgery the summer after his junior year, so he didn't pitch in his high school for senior year. He was able to throw some bullpens as part of his natural rehab and show off his stuff to scouts then, but nothing really in terms of, hey, I'm draft ready, let me show you what I can do in front of live batting. The Blue Jays still took him in the 3rd round back in 2013 and signed him to a $500,000 signing bonus, basically based on what they saw out of him junior year in Arizona and maybe some of that bullpen side session stuff as well. Doesn't pitch in 2013, makes 3 appearances in the GCL in 2014. Arm is again feeling off. There's some numbness in his hand, which seems weird. He's diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome, which is
nothing to mess around with.
Yeah, which is even scarier now than Tommy John. I feel like anytime you get any type of surgery, it's worrisome, obviously, no matter what you're doing, whether you're playing baseball or just existing in life. But Tommy John, there's a pretty well set up road to come back from that now. Complications can happen, but at least there's a playbook. Thoracic outlet syndrome, that doesn't really exist quite yet. I mean, you think of guys who have gone through that. Matt Harvey is not the pitcher now that he was before. Kyle Zimmer, who has made the major leagues this year, and God bless him for that after a long road back. But he was somebody who was a top 100 prospect who really has hit a wall since his diagnosis and trying to work his way back from that. So you hear thoracic outlet, and you're like, that could be a real turnoff to a pitcher. He gets diagnosed with that, undergoes surgery. Something still feels wrong. They end up removing a nerve from his arm to kind of take care of that as well. And so it was just really interesting to hear about all the things he went through. And when I asked him about thoracic outlet, it was like, what was it like coming back from that? Because I don't think it's been cracked yet. And he said, well, that wasn't really the most worrisome part because it still wasn't finished, which is just nuts. So he's knocked out for all of 2015, 2016 built up slowly, 2017 built up slowly. And then last year in 2018, the Blue Jays say, okay, all the reins are off. No more worries. You go out there and be a starting pitcher. And he really took off. Like I said, he was FSL Pitcher of the Year. Ends up throwing 152 2/3 innings between Dunedin and New Hampshire. That was in the top 30 for all of the minor leagues in terms of innings pitched. Not something you often hear with somebody who's gone through that many arm issues and elbow issues in the past. And what he said stood out to him about last year was not only was he allowed to pitch that many innings, but he was able to get out there every fifth day, which is not something he had done before. And because he was getting out there every fifth day, he was actually able to hone his craft. So this is a guy who was throwing in the low to mid 90s with a good fastball. His curveball has always been his greatest off-speed pitch. The changeup needed development. So because he was out there every fifth day, he was able to develop the changeup, and it started to really take off. He was more confident with it as the season wore on. FSL batters were really struggling with it over the second half of last year. His strikeout rate jumped, his ERA plummeted, all the stuff you like to see. He had a 3.33 ERA in the first half last year. That was down to 2 in the second half. His whip was 1.48. That was down to 0.94. It's just the type of improvement, when we talk about development not being linear, this almost was for Patrick Murphy in 2018. So he was Rule 5 eligible, had to wait out almost until there was minutes left on the clock to be protected from the Rule 5 draft last year. Eventually gets a call from the Jays. He's now on the 40-man. He started out the year at AA New Hampshire. Results aren't quite there yet, but he's still striking out guys at a good rate. He's got 15 in 15 innings. If you want somebody to watch and root for their resiliency, Patrick Murphy just ticks all of those boxes, which is really neat to see. And now he's only 2 steps away from the majors. When he does, a lot of people will be talking about his road and how it got there, because it is not traditional and not recommended by any means.
Really cool story. It's up on the site right now at milb.com. That is this week's Tool Shed, and that'll do it for 3 Strikes. The Milwaukee Brewers organization is where we find this week's guest for the show before the show. 6th-ranked prospect in that system is right-handed pitcher Zack Brown, who is a member of the AAA San Antonio Missions, who is hanging out on the road right now on a rainy getaway day. Zack, welcome to the show, man. What's going on?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, like you said, it's just a little rainy here in Memphis. Looking forward to getting this game in and getting on the road and heading towards Nashville and continuing on the season.
Well, tell us about the start to your year. You've actually had 2 outings against Memphis so far this season, and in 3 total starts, 4.08 ERA. A pretty good start to the AAA stay for you. What has the getting acclimated to that level your first few times through? What's it been like being at AAA for the first time?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, we got a great clubhouse full of guys that have we got a good mix of veterans and young guys. So I'm able to just watch guys when I'm not pitching and see how they're attacking these hitters. And yeah, like you said, pitching against Memphis twice, it's been kind of tough just because they know me, but I also know them. So I'm attacking with my strengths, and if it's their strengths too, it is what it is. I just have to execute pitches. And as far as the bump in the level, I would say just better executing pitches. That's kind of what I've struggled with that second, third time around in the order so far against Memphis, and giving up quite a bit of singles, and just hoping to limit the damage every time that happens.
Who do you think that ultimately benefits, Zack, when you face a team multiple times, especially in a row? You faced them on the 11th and then again on the 16th. That can really go either way. The hitters obviously have gotten a look at you, but you also know kind of the weaknesses of a lineup. Who do you think that benefits more when you see a team, especially consecutively like that?
I think it benefits the pitcher a little more, honestly. At least from my perspective, you know how to pitch the guys, and there's more ways to pitch guys than I think that they can hit you. Like they know that what your best pitch is, but you could also have a better pitch that night. So it's just, I think as far as pitchers attacking the guys, there's multiple ways to attack guys. You can work them backwards and all that. And so, I mean, I think it definitely benefits the guy on the mound and the guy that holds the ball.
And what do you feel like is something you learned about yourself? I know you said executing pitches, and that's one of those things that just seems easier said than done. What's something you're going to be trying to implement more as you get all these lessons from AAA and get all these lessons from facing hitters multiple times at that level?
I think if I'm in the good leverage count, just keep attacking the guy. I think I'm trying a little bit too hard right now to put the guy away instead of just trusting my stuff, what got me in that position against that hitter. So I think that's the big thing moving forward is just when I see a weakness, attack it even more, but with the same stuff. It doesn't have to be better.
Yeah, and you mentioned this team is a lot of fun, and it's a good mix of veterans and young guys. But specifically from a prospect standpoint, I mean, this team is loaded. It's one of the teams we've talked about as one of the most loaded going into the season between yourself, Keston Hira, Corey Ray, Mauricio Dubon, Ursig. what is the atmosphere like on this team, knowing A, you're playing in an organization that's really competing at the major league level, and B, there's so many of you young guys in one place?
Yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of young guys, a lot of energy, and the talent level is it's just good to be around. You know, you're just around the best players in the organization and in the league, and you can just think about, like, for me, being around guys that have time on the mound, and as far as being in bigs like Hauser and Kenny Williams, like watching those guys pitch, it's nice to see how they attack hitters. So for me, as a younger guy on the staff, I think I benefit a lot from that, and I think the hitters do as well. Keston, Corey, and Ursic, it's their first time in AAA as well. So I think as we get going in the season, our talent will show even more.
And in terms of off the field stuff, what's something that stood out to you the most about AAA? You're playing it for San Antonio, which this is San Antonio's first trip as a AAA city, as a AAA team. But we talk so much about adjustments on the field. What about off the field? What's something you've noticed differently about playing in the PCL and AAA in general?
Yeah, I mean, coming up, everyone tells you about how bad the travel is in the PCL, and 2 weeks in, you can definitely see why it would be that way. Those flights are kind of, I mean, it's just a different beast. We're not on the bus that long as much anymore, but you're flying and you're going city to city. So it's a little different. You got to get used to how your body acclimates to those flights and just moving around that next day. My last outing was our first day in Memphis after a flight. So it was just kind of try to figure out how my body is that day and then compete. That's all that matters when it comes down to it.
And one other change that everybody in AAA this year is going through is the composition of the ball. AAA baseball now is using the ball that the major leaguers use. So this is your first time going through that. A lot of people, Baseball America had a story out today about how offense is increasing because of that. But for you as a pitcher, in terms of trying to grip it and trying to use it, how has that been different? What has that transition been like?
Yeah, it was definitely a tough transition in spring. I felt like it was just tougher for me to get a hold of my breaking ball. And I've just had to try to figure out the best way to use that consistently and get the spin consistent and attack the zone with that. But when I'm pitching well, the ball's on the ground. So the ball hasn't, as far as ball flight, it's kind of, it is what it is. Guys know it, but for me, as long as I'm keeping the ball on the ground, I'm doing just fine.
Zach, let's go to last season and talk about your breakout 2018. Pitcher of the year in the organization, 9-1 with a 2.44 ERA and 22 appearances for AA Biloxi. And really just, I mean, you had already had a pretty good start to your career before that, but then to be able to do that and do it so consistently across the board in AA, what do you think the keys were to that, and how satisfying was that for you? It's only your second full pro season, and to be able to take such a huge step forward like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was very satisfying, but I mean, that's gone, and I'm looking forward to this year as well. But I think the big things for going out every 5 days and just feeling comfortable with what I had that day, no matter what it was, just being confident. If one pitch wasn't working that I usually had, just be confident and keep throwing it, just to show the hitters that. I mean, for me, it's been all a learning process as far as sequencing and good mistakes and all that stuff. So I think for the team last year, we were able to score runs early in the game, especially in my starts, which I was fortunate to have that. So it kind of it drove me to putting up those zeros right when we scored. I mean, Corey Ray, I don't even know how many leadoff home runs he had for me when I was starting. And I was like, it's just nice to have that the first time I go out, or after I come back in, if we're at home, just get a run on the board early. And that was, whenever we would do that, it would just give me that extra confidence to go out there and just pound the zone and let the defense work.
How do you think, when you get, especially early on in a season, when that starts to form as a theme for you, that your offense will give you a little bit of run support, how does that affect your confidence going out, start after start? I would imagine if it's the flip side of that and you feel like, I'm going to have to hold a team to, no runs or one run or something, it might tighten you up a little bit. But knowing that your offense is probably going to go out there and give you some cushion, what does that do for you mentally?
Definitely. It's not a relaxing thing, but it's just like, all right, I don't have to be as perfect with every pitch. And I think that's what I struggle with whenever I get in a tight situation, is I have to get that pitch exactly where I want it, exactly this way. And it's not always necessarily like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to go out and perform, master your craft. And whether it's 5-0, you're losing, 5-0, you're winning. But I mean, if you're up, I want to say it's a different beast, but it's really not, because you're going out there, relaxed, doing your thing. But like you said, if your team's up early in the game, it's awesome just to go out and attack the guys and know that, I mean, you have a little bit of wiggle room. It's not a relaxing thing, but it is a thing that you can just feel comfortable with. It's hard to explain. It's just one of those things. You don't have to be perfect with every pitch, but you also have to execute pitches, pound the zone, not work beyond guys. It's just like I said, it's hard to explain. You're out there and you're getting after it. So.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about your mentality on the mound. Let's talk about your pitches. Most people would say pretty consistently that your curveball is your best pitch. How has that pitch kind of developed, and how have you made that into a weapon, that pitch alone?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier with the new ball, it was kind of just spinning out of my hand. So we put a lot of work in the spring. And then at the other night, it was kind of doing the same thing. So I need to get that more consistent, but I still think it's my best pitch. And not too far behind it is a sinker. So I think just being able to master throwing that curveball on every count, if I can keep working on that and just getting it over the plate in a pitcher spot, I think that's when that pitch becomes a lot more dangerous for me as a pitcher, instead of throwing fastballs and fastball counts.
Right. And when you said, it's spinning out of your hand right now and trying to get it control, but when that pitch is on, how do you know, first off, other than just hitters' reactions, and what do you feel like you're able to do with it to make it such a plus pitch?
Yeah, I think when it's on, I'm able to throw it. When I know it's on, I'm able to throw it to my arm side, so almost like a back door to a lefty or front door to a righty. That's when I feel like my body's moving in the right direction and I'm getting my hand to where I need to. And then also the pitch that ends right below the zone, glove side. Those are the two pitches for me that I think with the curveball, it triggers in my mind that I'm getting my body in the right position and doing what I want with that pitch.
All right, so we talked about a little bit about last year, 2018. I want to jump back even further back. Before you were a pro with your time at Kentucky, you started out coming out of the bullpen.
Oh, we got to do that, huh?
You know where this is going, unfortunately. You lived it.
Yep.
For those who don't know at home, Zach was a fifth-round pick in 2016, coming out of Kentucky. But in that final year, you had a 6.08 ERA. What was it like going through those struggles? And I read one story about you had a certain idea of money in mind, and literally the Brewers just hit it with like a $400,000 signing bonus. How much were you sweating through the draft that year?
I mean, a little bit. I knew what it was coming in to start that junior season. I knew if I could just replicate what I did my sophomore year and just keep growing as a pitcher, it would be just fine. And then week in and week out, things were changing. My mechanics were changing. Whether it was my idea or not is a different story. But ultimately, I'm the one throwing the ball. So it was just kind of a tough time for me to go out. And even if I was pitching well, somehow I ended up giving up runs in the end and ended up getting a loss. So it was just a tough year. It was hard to stay positive. But, I mean, being around those guys day in and day out was what got me through that season. And then as far as draft day, I mean, it just kept dropping and dropping. And I don't think I was sweating as much. I was just like, maybe should just go back to school and keep getting better. One extra year isn't always a bad thing. But yeah, I had a number in mind going in that day, and it just happened. That was the very last pick where I got picked that was above that slot number. So, I mean, I don't know what it was. I don't know. I never told anyone a set number. It's just, God willing, it was that pick that was the last one above my number where I had told my parents, if it's below that, I'll consider going back to school. So it was right there, and I think I made the right decision, and I've enjoyed it so far.
Right, and here you are at AAA. What did the Brewers tell you they liked about your game, even though the results weren't quite there? What did they hope to mold you into right from the off there, starting at Helena and Wisconsin that first year in 2016?
Yeah, I got to Montana, and I think I got drafted on a Friday. I was in Montana by Monday. It was one of those things where I just need to get on the mound again and get a change of scenery. And they never really approached me about what they want from me, what they want to see out of me when I go to the mound. They're just pretty hands off, and I think that's their approach with new guys, especially with a college guy that kind of struggled, but they drafted relatively high. I think they just wanted to see what I had with that half season right there, and then I had that surprising call up to low A. There's a funny story. I had 3 outings in rookie ball in Montana. And I think I just got off a start. There's like 3 innings, five runs or something. I was like, here it goes again. Like college is still happening. It's still the same season. And I get called in the office. My busmate actually thought I got sent down to Arizona. So it was a funny story. Just kind of like you go up and not really expect it. And I think on that flight to Wisconsin, it was just kind of this is what you're doing. This is what you got to do. It's kind of just reset everything, erase what happened that whole 2016 season, and figure out what you do best and learn yourself as a pitcher, and just keep doing that and keep getting better. It's just nothing beats game experience. And I think going out there and the Brewers are hands off, just letting me think what I'm doing on my own and figuring it out. And then since then, it's just, I don't know what it was that half season after I got called up to Wisconsin, but I feel like it just took off from there.
It's so amazing on the player development side how the numbers might not be great, the performances, you might not feel like you're doing great, but somebody somewhere is watching and sees, yeah, that's what we wanted. Let's get him to Wisconsin. When, the ERA is with 13.50 through those 3 outings, then you go up to Wisconsin, everything's great. Like, that has always blown my mind about player development, that you could be down and think, like, oh man, everything's going wrong. But somebody with the Brewers saw, like, no, this kid's ready for full season ball.
Right. It was one of those things where they saw me those 3 times, and I think they were just like, okay, this guy's healthy, this guy's throwing the ball well, the results aren't there, so let's push him up and see what he has. And I think that push up for me was just seeing that they believed in me more than I believed in myself at that point. Like after the brutal junior season and then 3 outings that weren't very good, it was hard to stay positive with my stuff. I felt like it was there, but I didn't feel like the results were there, or like I was executing pitches as well. So that belief from the Brewers and them sending me up, I mean, I think that just built my confidence, like a good foundation to just keep moving forward.
Right. And what about that mentality do you still carry forward to today? Because, pitching at that last year in Kentucky, you are pitching for a professional job. Essentially, you're trying to show out for scouts that you are draft ready. Now you're at AAA, you're trying to show the Brewers that you're major league ready. What do you take from that 2016 and still incorporate into your thinking today?
Yeah, I think I've just grown up a little bit. Not that I was immature as a junior in college, but I was still 21 years old, and I was relatively new to pitching. And I mean, I didn't know exactly what professional baseball was like at that point. After going through 3 years of it so far, I think the big thing is when I'm out there, not to worry about all that stuff, and even in between starts, not to get too involved, and just worry about what you're doing to prepare your body for the next start. I think I was kind of looking into things a little too much, and just worrying about things that I shouldn't worry about. And people have always told me control what you can control, and I think I'm finally realizing that's like something to live by. Anything outside of your control, you shouldn't even worry about. And your performance, that's all you can control. And I think that's what's driven me from that point on, is just to do that. And whatever happens after that, so it be.
Zach, at this stage, you're one step below the minor leagues or below the major leagues. You're 24 years old, and you're on a super talented team that's part of an organization that came within one inning really of making the World Series last year. Right now, at this stage, you're only 3 starts into AAA, but showcasing what it'll take to get you to the major leagues and those guys around you as well. I remember talking to Keston Hura at camp this year in Maryvale, and it just seemed like everybody, especially among your group that is at San Antonio, everybody's got this quiet sense of confidence of, we know where we are, we know where this organization is, and we know what we need to do to get over that hump. What do you feel like is in that realm for you to take that next step to the big leagues?
Yeah, I think quiet confidence was a super good phrase right there. I think this group from top to bottom here in San Antonio is just quietly confident, and I think we have smart people. We know what we're faced with. We know what kind of organization we're in. We just know that we have to be ready for whatever may happen. And for me, I think that next step is just to keep showing that I can go out in every 5 days and go deep into games. I mean, you saw with the Brewers last year, they're very innovative as far as how they use starters, and we're all open to that. And I think this group of guys knows that, and they're always prepared to be ready when their name is called. It's definitely a different feeling being in a AAA clubhouse with guys that have a decent amount of time in the big leagues, because they can, for me, being a pretty young guy on the team, you can look to people that are sitting right next to you to figure out how to be ready for that. And I think that can't be replaced. I think that knowing, especially in an organization with a lot of movement, knowing that we have a lot of talented guys, and just being ready for that, to ask a guy that was up with them last year or whoever it may be, there's unlimited possibilities of what you can take out of those conversations.
All right, Zach, we'll end on this one. I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, but we just have to ask it because we have you on the show here. Usually you like to end on a fun one. How sick of chicken fried are you?
Honestly, I've been very surprised so far, and 2 of my 3 starts have been on the road. And usually when I'm warming up at my first inning, I hear chicken fried, and I haven't. So it's been a little bit different of a year so far. It's 3 starts, but I don't know. Like I'm not too tired of it, but I'm looking forward to some more jokes. Honestly, chicken fried's a little repetitive. So maybe we can mix in some other songs.
Right. I would imagine they've got to have a bigger, selection than just that one song. But knowing where you guys,
you would think. But I mean, I think everyone, once they hear that, they draw that connection relatively quickly. So whether it's a heckler or someone in the booth playing the music, I don't think I'm ever going to get away from it.
I hate that song so much, and I cannot imagine how I would feel about it if my name was actually Zack Brown.
Zack Brown. So what is your walkout song?
Mine and not yours. My walkout song is "Small Town" by John Mellencamp.
There you go.
He's actually from my hometown. It's about my hometown, so
that's pretty.
It kind of has a little bit of extra meaning, yeah.
That is really cool. That's a very good story for a walkout song. That it's not just like, I liked it. That's who knew. I actually did not even realize that was about a specific small town.
Right. It definitely is, and it's just a cool little connection that I can have and I don't think a lot of people realize it until I tell them. So, I mean, small town. Yep, that's me. That's hometown.
Very cool.
There we go.
Very cool. Zack Brown is on Twitter. You can find him at @ZBrown_33. And Zach, we can't thank you enough for all the time. Congrats on all the success so far. Enjoy AAA, and hopefully we'll see you in the big leagues real soon.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
It is Benjamin Hill road trip season, which on the tweets has to be SZN. That's what the kids all do. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Tyler, and hello, Sam. It is road trip season, SZN. I use that spelling now, and no matter where I'm referring to it, I think it's taken over and become the new standard. Like, we look at Old English from the 1600s, and there's always weird spellings. Things adapt. Season is now spelled.
That's true.
SZN.
I mean, the Egyptians used hieroglyphics. We use emojis. Who's to say language isn't circular in some way?
Yeah, exactly.
I have been meaning to talk to you about that. We keep editing your copy to take out season SZN. You have to spell it right in actual tweets. You're your own copy. You got to spell it correct.
I should read my copy after it gets published.
You should read your copy after. Yeah.
I write all mine in emojis. Does that get edited too? Seems weird.
Yeah. We advertise you as MILB.com's all emoji writer.
The all emoji writer. It's not confusing at all for anybody. Well, the road trip schedule is coming out, and Ben's first trip has been revealed. Ben will be headed to the Carolinas and Virginia coming up from May 1st through the 7th, and you get to tick off one of the newest ballparks in minor league baseball on trip number 1 to Fayetteville.
Yeah, and depending on when you're listening to this podcast, if you listen to it soon after it was dropped, which I'm sure many of you devoted fans do out there, this might be the reveal. The post might not even be up yet, but I am dropping the trips this week and next on an individual basis. And, last year we talked about it a lot. I finally hit the hashtag Ben Everywhere milestone, been to every affiliated park. So this year looking to change it up a little bit while also going to the new parks to ensure that I continue to have hashtag Ben Everywhere. The 3 new ballparks are Fayetteville, Vegas, Las Vegas, and Amarillo, as we've mentioned many times on the podcast. So the first trip is going to hit Fayetteville, North Carolina. The Bowie's Creek Astros had previously been the franchise that is now the Fayetteville Woodpeckers. They were a stopgap entity that played the last 2 seasons. Minor League Baseball hasn't been in Fayetteville since the Cape Fear Crocs, the immortal Cape Fear Crocs. And go back and listen to our theme songs show to hear the Cape Fear Crocs theme song. It's a classic. So there's been almost 2 decades of baseball without Fayetteville. It's back, brand new, and we've kind of been debating how to pronounce the name of the stadium. It's a corporate name. We're going to call it and I'll learn before I get out there, but Segra Stadium, S-E-G-R-A. That is the new home of the Woodpeckers. And one of the things I'm doing differently this year is because I've been everywhere. I'm moving away from the kind of more manic itineraries that, in the past it was like, well, if I'm going to this region, I have to hit as many places as I can because I've never been there. I haven't been there in years, or X, Y, or Z. But this year I'm slowing things down, spending a little more time in each location. Hopefully you can get a deeper and richer array of content, material, art, as I like to call it.
As you like to call it.
As I like to call it. No one else really, goes along with my assertion that I'm an artist. But May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, an entire series, or it's not a full series, it's the back half of one series and the beginning of another. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, May 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And from there I'm going to Lynchburg, which I was in 4 years ago. But, there's a new front office there, kind of a new energy. They almost renamed the team, if you recall, and didn't. But
the Love Apples.
Yeah, the Love Apples. What could have been night, the Love Apples. So they're still the Hillcats, but I'm interested to go back there. I'll be there May 4th for what is both Star Wars night and Aloha weekend. So if you've ever liked Hawaiian-themed Star Wars celebrations, that's
please tell me that they have Tommy Bahama-themed Stormtrooper uniform jerseys or something.
I'm not sure what they have, but let's hope so for sure. And in the meantime, we'll try to come up with puns that give Hawaiian riffs on Star Wars characters. Hey, Princess Leia.
Yeah.
That was good.
I was picturing Chewbacca, and instead of that sash he wears that seems to be to carry bullets or something, just that being a lei. But Princess Leia was sitting right there the whole time.
Alohan Solo.
These are all ideas you should present to them. Save it for them, not for us.
So Lynchburg, May 4th and 5th. And then, Richmond, the Flying Squirrels, the Diamond, May 6th and 7th. I apologize, Richmond. That's a Monday and Tuesday in May. Probably not, premier days on your schedule, but that's the way the road trip ball bounces. And that's just a team I enjoyed visiting in the past, and I'll enjoy it again. Real creative front office. And even if it's a kind of dead night, and it might not be. I'm not saying it will be. We'll have some fun in Richmond, May 6th and 7th. So I'll be gone for a week, roughly in line with previous trips, but only 3 places. And check my Twitter feed, MILB.com, the Ben's Biz MILB page, MILB.com/fan/Ben's Biz for all the road trip information, including how you could perhaps be a designated eater at one of those locations. Once again, May 1st, 2nd, 3rd in Fayetteville, May 4th and 5th in Lynchburg, May 6th and 7th in Richmond, and got 3 other trips at least, as well as some more local ones to announce in the very near future, and we'll talk about those next week.
Yeah, so one thing I want to point out, just because I wrote it down and it's literally going to combust inside me if I don't get it out there. Uke Skywalker.
Uke Skywalker.
Uke Skywalker is one thing I wanted to say. Second, you mentioned that this is going to be different this year. You're going to be at places for multiple days. How is that going to change your day-to-day? Is it going to be more sitting around and taking in games, maybe from inning 4 through 6, like actually getting to enjoy baseball instead of running around to kiosks and concourses and all that kind of stuff? Or is it just going to be more of the same for you, just over 2-3 days?
I think a little bit of both. A little bit more. I'm still a one-man show in most of these trips, I believe. So a little limited in what I can get, but I think more of an emphasis on video material. Have time to spend a full day, with more of that as an emphasis, to have more video, content and show visuals in a new way that way. And one thing I've certainly found in other years is, when I am at a place for 2 days, I don't know if I've been anywhere for 3. You can follow up on that second day, like with an article that you wouldn't have had the opportunity to do in one day when you're waking up one place, going to a game, falling asleep somewhere else, whatever the case may be. So I do think it will open up, new things to explore and to let, ideas develop a little bit, maybe more in-depth articles or just a wider variety. Potentially can get some podcast stuff, share with you guys that, just might work well in that format. It's a work in progress. This is kind of a transitional season for me. Again, having kind of hit that milestone last year and then kind of, brainstorming ways to move forward here in 2019.
Ben, the rest of the road trip schedule, when you're this early on in the year, do you kind of have like a skeletal itinerary for what you want to hit the rest of the season, or do you sort of plan them just so people know kind of the way the whole process goes? Do you plan them like once you get done with this one in May, do you start looking at the next trip? How does it all work?
No, that's how it started in the beginning when I had no real idea what I was doing and not sure exactly how much resources I had. I would do one trip and then get back and be like, can I pull off another one? Okay. But now, no, I do the whole schedule, the entire season schedule before I leave. So I already have one that's trips that are definitely, the dates are set in June and July, and a potential trip in August. Still working out the details. It'll either be that or something else, and then another more local trip in July. But I've got all those dates down, and so pretty soon, we'll be talking about those as well. I will not wait until they are imminent. And spoiler alert, and I've said this before. One of the trips is going to revolve around Amarillo, the Sod Poodles, new ballpark there, and another trip will revolve around Las Vegas. The Aviators, a new ballpark there.
So you can catch Ben coming up at a couple of different parks in North Carolina and Virginia. You can check out the trip itinerary, May 1st through the 3rd in Fayetteville, 4th and 5th in Lynchburg, and the 6th and 7th in Richmond. And as Ben noted, you can try your hand at being a designated eater, perhaps, if you're going to be one of those games. Ben, what else is coming on? You've got a book review of Almost Yankees, which is about the 1981 Columbus Clippers. There is a Twitter feed, I know, that is also following the 81 Columbus Clippers season as though it is happening in real time, which coincides with this Almost Yankees book. This looks like a cool project.
Yeah, I mean, the Twitter feed is done by the author of this book,
right?
J. David Herman. The University of Nebraska Press, for whatever reason, has a strong emphasis on baseball books, and I'm on their mailing list through who knows what started it. And
as an alumnus, I'm very proud of that.
There you go. Yeah. I think it's the Tyler Maughan imprint. I call it.
They do a lot of it, though. Like a lot of really small baseball books that would not have a home anywhere else do find a home there, which is really cool.
Yeah, and they are good enough to send me the books, and a lot of them don't really have enough of a minor league tie-in for me to write about them, but I appreciate I'm on their list. I got this one in the mail. I can't remember exactly when, but probably in March, and I read it recently, and I thought, you know what, this one will make a good story. I used to do a lot more, book-related material. I had kind of a recurring Ben's Bookshelf column. Don't do it as much anymore, but anytime I can write about a book, I do so. And I generally don't like to write a straight review. I kind of feel like if I'm writing about a book, that shows I like it and want to endorse it, and I prefer more to talk to the author and give a little more background on how it came about. So the author, J. David Herman, was 11 years old in 1981 when he loved this Columbus Clippers team. This was a AAA affiliate of the Yankees then. George Steinbrenner was originally a Columbus guy, so it was important to have the AAA affiliate in Columbus. It was kind of at the height of the Bronx Zoo era when, George Steinbrenner was kind of a madman and he cared about winning everywhere, including Columbus. It was kind of tough for guys to break in with the Yankees because there was such an emphasis on stardom. But, the flip side is that you end up having really good Yankees AAA teams. And then another thing that happened in 1981 that makes that season very unique is, there was a 2-month strike at the major league level. So there were a couple months when AAA baseball was the biggest game in town. And you had national announcers, the likes of Phil Rizzuto, coming to the games and broadcasting, in the open air from Columbus just to provide some, baseball broadcasts at a time when there's no major league stuff. So it was a strange season in that regard. And so this author, J. David Herman, he's now, in his late 40s, I suppose, coming up on 50 years old. And I think this project was motivated of saying, hey, these are my childhood heroes. Some went on to, some significant success, guys like, Dave Righetti, people like that. But some, were kind of his hero in Columbus and never broke through, guys like Marshall Brandt. And so he ended up reaching 28 of the 36 guys who played on that team and, kind of provides a background of the season itself, but then goes into what has happened to those guys since, intersperses his personal memories, as well as just what was happening in America at the time in general. So it's kind of a sprawling look at the 1981 season through the lens of the Columbus Clippers. And, I think the format could annoy some people because it's a little sprawling and kind of jumps all over the place, but I really appreciated his approach in terms of how much he incorporated, and it was truly a labor of love and thought it was a good work. And if you like baseball books, you're looking for some baseball, something to read at this time of year, and you like minor league baseball specifically, Almost Yankees is, I think, a pretty good book to check out by J. David Herman. Check out the article on MILB.com, which will be out by the time this podcast is out. I'm working on it as we speak. I mean, not as I speak right now, but just throughout this day itself. So there you go.
Yeah, what I love about this is it seems like, it's obviously something that sticks out. Because, like you said, the work stoppage, and there was just so much going on there. Bring up that Twitter feed right now. He sprinkles in, like you said, like real life events. On April 11th, 1981, President Reagan is back home from the hospital after his assassination attempt. April 12th, Joe Louis dies. Also April 12th, the Space Shuttle Columbia launches for its first voyage. All of this going on at the same time as this historic Columbus season. And I almost feel like this is something that almost any team could do, especially the historic ones. Not for 1981 or whatever, but it seems like such a repeatable book and fast. Like we talk all the time about minor league stories, there being thousands of them out there. There's got to be thousands of possibilities for other teams to do something like this.
Absolutely, and obviously it takes a lot of work to pull something like this off. But the history of baseball and minor league baseball is so rich that when you think, wow, you have this pretty deep, thorough, interesting book about 1981 in Columbus, how many other potential books, Twitter feeds, information is out there? And it's kind of funny that one of the most notable minor league baseball books of the last decade or so also covered the 1981 International League, and that was Dan Barry's Bottom of the 33rd, about the 33-inning game between Pawtucket and Rochester. And
I'm looking at that book right now. I have yet to read it, but it's been sitting on my desk as one of my collection of next books that I need to get to.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Now there's another book in the 1981 International League subgenre of baseball books, Almost Yankees. So if you're a big fan of the 1981 season in the International League, you are definitely covered when it comes to when it comes to your summer reading. And in both books, I think the strike plays a major role in terms of the prominence of minor league baseball. And in the case of Pawtucket and Rochester, the resumption of that 33 inning game where they played the 33rd inning on a separate day, that happened during the strike. So that was literally the biggest event in the entire American sports world when they played the 33rd inning, because there was no Major League Baseball going on. But that's neither here nor there. But check out that book, Bottom of the 33rd, if you're interested. And, of course, Almost Yankees.
Ben, what else is coming up?
Well, what do we got? I feel like I had one more story to talk about. Oh, well, we have
Charleston's the draft night promo
Right.
from the Charleston River Dogs. One of the things you've been following the process of a creation of a promo with Charleston. That I noticed was starting to get like a lot of national press this week, which is pretty cool.
It did. So that happened. This is a series that started in the wake of the promo seminar, which has since been rebranded as the Innovator Summit, an off-season minor league, industry idea sharing event. And in the wake of that, I embarked upon this series with Nate Corrant and the Charleston River Dogs. Nate is the promo director, kind of detailing the evolution of a promo. So it sort of the series started out with him brainstorming, not really able to divulge much, running into problems, changing course. And as the series developed, he said, okay, here's this promo I've been talking about, NBA Draft Night, and this fourth and final piece in the series, which ran on the site this past Tuesday, details the fact that it actually happened. So they wore the unique jerseys with the team logo on the inside of the jersey, like a suit that the prospects wear to draft night, where they open up their suits. They ended up signing, I believe it was signing up 135 people. Excuse me, I forgot to hit the cough button. They ended up signing 135 people up for the NBA draft because the parameters of the draft are such that all you have to be is 19 years old and a year out of high school. So the Charleston River Dogs sent, I think they said they sent 167 applications to the NBA draft office, even though some were children. They kind of knew that these kids weren't eligible.
Do you imagine the person opening that envelope at the NBA draft office like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and the River Dogs, Nate and the River Dogs did not get in touch with the NBA. I'd asked him that prior, and he was like, nah, we don't want to get a negative reaction that kind of like puts a damper on this, so we're just going to send it and see what happens.
Please don't do this.
That really is. So just somebody randomly is going to open that up at the NBA offices and be like, what on earth? What is going on with this?
Yeah, so he
That
doesn't
is
know.
great.
He doesn't know what's going to happen. Maybe the NBA's process, though, is if you declare yourself eligible, you have to have some sort of confirmation. That's what Nate is hoping, that this promotion gets a second life once the fans receive responses from the NBA recognizing their draft eligibility. And he was like, that's a cool souvenir, and it is. Like, if you got that, you might want to hang that up. An official letter from the NBA recognizing you as a draft eligible prospect. What this will probably do is cause the NBA to tighten up their regulations and the collective bargaining agreements so they don't get bombarded every year by a bunch of randos who are like, hey, I'm in the draft now.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that already anyways. But
I'm sure this isn't the first time that's been done. I would imagine it's the first time they got 167 in the mail at once, but you never know. But you can check out that story about the jerseys they wore, about the post-game half-court shooting contest, about signing up all these fans for the draft, and thus ends this 4-part series on the evolution of a minor league baseball promo.
It's all up on the site. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and that's about all I got.
Oh, there we go. It's all up on the site, milb.com, and the blog is bensbiz.mlblogs.com. You can keep up with everything that Ben's got coming up on the calendar, road trip-wise and elsewhere. And, Ben, enjoy the first trip. We'll obviously talk to you before the first trip, but enjoy that first trip when it comes in a couple of weeks.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. And one more bit of housekeeping is definitely still check out the blog, but the blog is, and we'll have more on this later, kind of being wound down as we transition elsewhere on the site. So those my road trip itineraries will be, for the first time, not be on the blog, but on the Ben's Biz fans page, milb.com/fans/BensBiz. Still got some more stuff on the blog coming up, but it's kind of on its way out, end of an era. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So much going on.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, and Sam Dykstra, sitting to my left.
Wrapping up this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Before we go, I want to tell you what we're watching on MILB.TV this weekend or week. Sam, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say watch any Buffalo game. We didn't talk about it earlier in the show, but tonight, on Wednesday night, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just hit an absolute mammoth blast, sent it out of McCoy Stadium in Pawtucket. We're only going to get so many moments left out of Vlad Jr., so soak it up while you can. He's got a 3-game series coming up against Scranton Wilkes-Barre at home in Buffalo. 1 game on Friday, the 19th, and then 2 more on Saturday against Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and then Sunday is off. So maybe Saturday could be a fun day. And as we've said before on the podcast, that lineup is just loaded. I think Bo Bichette is up to an 8-game hitting streak. You're always going to enjoy it. But we really don't know what Vlad Jr. is going to do next, and I mean that in terms of where he's going to be next or what he will do with the Bisons while he's still there. Will he hit one that travels an estimated 500 feet? Will he hit? We saw Rowdy Tellez do that in the majors. Will he hit one, into somebody's car? I don't know. There's only one way to find out, and that's by tuning in this weekend. So who knows? Maybe this time next week we're talking about a Vlad Jr. promotion. Hopefully that's the case. We say that every time now with the way he's hitting, but enjoy him while you can. You've got a good 3-game set coming up this weekend. Tyler, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to the pitching side of the California League. Coming up on Saturday, the 6th-ranked prospect in the San Diego Padres organization takes to the mound, and a whole lot of people have heard of pretty much every top pitching prospect in the Padres organization. Mackenzie Gore, Chris Paddock obviously is up at the major league level. Adrian Morejon has gotten his share of discussion, but Luis Patino I feel like has kind of flown under the radar so far in his minor league career. Last year, a fantastic season with Class A Fort Wayne. He made 17 starts, a 2.16 ERA. This year he started with Lake Elsinore. Through his first 2 starts, he's at 8 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts in those 8 innings, 2.25 ERA. 8 walks as well, so he's kind of got a nuclear thing going on. But a really live arm, a guy who's got some really, really promising stuff. He has a 65 grade fastball, 55 grade curveball, 60 grade slider, and a 45 grade changeup. But that's 3+ pitches there. And Luis Patino takes the mound against Inland Empire, at least scheduled, coming up on Saturday for the Lake Elsinore Storm. So that will do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. He's Sam Dykstra. I'm Tyler Braun. We'll talk to you next week.